Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And joining me, as always, is my chipper friend that's smiling and real happy right now, Trav. What's good, man?
And, bro, you caught me off guard. You just came in and caught me off guard, bro.
Hey, you look real hype right now. And, of course, the rebellious one, Rebellious D, he got the nice setup, got the computer chair, got everything behind him.
And the shirt.
Yeah, you looking good, D. You looking good.
Thanks, man. You too, big guy.
Oh, thank you.
Snap.
And joining us is one of our friends that has been on some of our reviews before, Miss Beca. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much for having me back, man.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
I've really enjoyed the time with you guys.
Oh, thank you.
This guy.
Now, today we're doing our first review of the night, which is Falcon and Winter Soldier. And Miss Beca, she is a huge fan of this show. And because this is episode 5 and the season finale is next week, we couldn't finish doing this review without having her come on to the channel. So thank you again for joining us. And before we get into the review, you're welcome. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.
That's
and
right.
D, what do you have to say about that?
Podcast in the description. Please check us out.
That's right. So let's go ahead and get into today's review. So, Becca, for the last 4 reviews, everybody, they've heard our opinions on how we feel about the show, but how have you felt about Falcon and Winter Soldier so far?
Oh my God. This show has given me everything that I ever wanted. And I have to say this too.
When she says everything, she means everything.
I have been looking forward to this show since they announced Disney Plus. I was like, I was already in love with Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. I was like, sign me up. Let me know, when are you dropping this? And it has given me everything. And the thing is too, I have to point this out, like, just in general, obviously, Benjamin, you know this, I have been in physical pain for, part of March and also April. And on top of that, March and April have been in the news, pretty traumatic months. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on. So legitimately, Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been the light at the end of the tunnel, the highlight of those 2 months. It's been such a healing thing, even just like watching this episode. There's just been moments where I'm like, I needed that for my soul. I'm smitten. Yeah. Like, I don't even think that's a big enough word to describe how I feel about this show. I am full on smitten with everything about it.
Nice.
In love with it. I know that one scene where I believe it was the second episode when Sam and Bucky, they had jumped off of the truck. Well, Sam, he saved Bucky, and then they were rolling in the field. And when I saw that, I was just like, I know Becca loved every moment of that.
I don't know. Cut this out if we can't use this. But like, I remember, like, I believe you saw a post that I had for, I think it might have been the 3rd episode. I'm not sure. But there was a moment where I was just like, I was so, I think the post that I said was like, the sheer amount of concentrated lust I have for this show is so strong that it's debilitating. Like, I was like, I have to go back to work now. I have to clock in and be professional. How am I supposed to do that? But I was trying to describe to a friend of mine, I was like, because he was like, what? He was thinking, like, I'm speaking lust in just particular, like, this actor, this scene, Sam's shirtless or whatever. But I was like, no, it's everything. It's not just them. I love Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan and their friendship. I love the dynamic between, Sam and Bucky on screen. I love the commentary, social commentary that's going on, and like how they're addressing things that are very, very relevant and emotional. I love the commentary on mental health that's going on. I love cinematography and these action sequences. Like everything is hitting all the notes for me. I love the comedy moments. I love Zemo dancing.
Yeah, sent me a couple
I can't get enough of it. I love the Dora Milaje showing up. I love it all. It's just bringing me so much joy. So I feel like I've needed this during March and April. I don't know about you guys.
I'm happy that it's brought you joy, and I'm happy that it made you happy, because this also made us happy as well. I'll say that every Friday we look forward to watching it and doing these reviews, because every episode has just been fantastic so far.
No question.
And the start of this episode, you know, they gave us exactly what we want. I wasn't expecting them to fight John Walker at the start of the episode. And I love the fact that it picked up, you know, right after what he did, and Sam and Bucky went after him. And I was getting Captain America Civil War vibes. And it was just like, hey, we gonna take this shield from you. Trav, like, what were your feelings when you saw the start of the episode? Did you think that they were gonna go right into it? Or did you think that it was gonna be something maybe towards the end of the episode?
Nah, I mean, dude, when they rolled up on this man right in the warehouse or whatever, I knew it was going down, bro. I mean, hey, you can't let him slip away with the shield. You know what I mean? They got him. They found out, you know, that this man took the serum, and yeah, they gave him the hands. Took that shield back.
D?
That's that.
Yeah, I definitely thought it obviously had to pick up immediately with the events of episode 4, because it was, you know, there was blood on it. There was blood on his hands, man. So I thought it was either the cops would show up, but they couldn't show it, you know, not where they were. It was obvious they were going to go in and have to throw hands, like Trav said. And it was amazing. Yeah.
Like I said, to start the episode off, and I kind of want to, you know, do a reverse piggyback to last week's review, where Trav was saying that I asked the question, did you think that there were going to be people who agreed with what John Walker did, if he was going to be stripped of being Captain America, or if they were going to continue letting him be Captain America? And I remember Trav said that, you know, we see how situations go down in our world, in the real world, where it's just like, if something like that happened, of course there would have been a loud uproar of people in support of John Walker. But we saw that it's just like, because of his actions, he got stripped of being Captain America. You know, he lost the shield. The government wanted the shield. They didn't know where the shield was. So that was good that they didn't know. But just seeing him lose the title of Captain America, and in his mind, he didn't think that he did anything wrong. Now, Becca, I want to ask you this. Do you think that it was because of the super soldier serum that John Walker was, you know, like he was mentally unstable at this point, because he thought he didn't do anything wrong? He, in his mind, he is the Captain America that we need in this world, in today's society. Do you think it was because of the super soldier serum that he was thinking like this, or do you think that it was just John Walker being John Walker?
John Walker is obviously like going off the rails, and he is using the statement, I am Captain America, as his kind of shield for himself. I don't think that I don't think that it was the serum that made him think that, because he was already trying to go around introducing himself and using I am Captain America as some kind of way to enforce power and dominance in situations, and constantly kept on, you know, getting pushback and realizing that didn't matter, that you were given this title. You keep on trying to reinforce that you are something that you're not, and it's making you hold even tighter to that title. And I think that one of the things that was really like kind of horrifying and rattling watching this episode and the last is, one, that like I've recognized John Walker in real life. That like I had a moment watching the previous episode where I realized there was someone from my life that I no longer talk to who reminded me so much of John Walker. And in fact, when I met that person, they were dressed as Captain America. And I was like, it's scary. I had moments where I was watching the episodes and I could see his mental state change. I could see the things that were triggering him. I could see all these moments that were happening. And I was like, this is really real for me right now. And it's really upsetting to see this man who is using literally what is a shield, which is meant to defend and protect, as pretty much a guillotine. On multiple occasions, he's trying to use it as a guillotine. As you watch him, like in that fight scene, he's going for the neck, like repeatedly on both of them. And watching him continually gaslight himself into believing that what he did was justified, and gaslighting himself into believing like, oh, like he's aware that the person that he killed is not the person who killed Lamar. He knows for a fact that's not the situation, but he's convincing himself and spreading that lie. It is horrifying, and honestly too real.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Because it kind of pissed me off when he went to Lamar's family and he told Lamar's dad, asked like, did you kill the man who killed my son? And he was just like, yeah, I did kill him. Now, D, like, what were your thoughts on that? I mean, this was his best friend. He pretty much knew this man all his life. They served in war together, and to go up into this man's family's home and lie to them, how did that make you feel?
Well, I think John is just, he's almost a victim of circumstance in a way, because he's in the middle of everything. He doesn't really have a choice. Like he said during his trial, he was what they made him to be, which I'm a big fan of, because monsters aren't born, they're created. Yep. And here we go again. And it was just interesting because I don't think it had, to go off of the last, what you guys just covered, I don't think it had anything to do with the serum. I think it was just John being John. I said something on our last episode too about him feeling like basically he's used to being the alpha male, and he's not that anymore. The Wakandan warriors showed him that, and now here's more of it. Basically they gave him a dishonorable discharge. He gets nothing from the government, and you saw how many medals he had. So it's just, he's stuck. What was he supposed? Yeah, but he's stuck, because it's interesting that they did that, because yes, he killed somebody, but yes, these people were known terrorists. So it's like, did they really have to do that to him? You have to think about that. Mm-hmm.
They only did it because he was caught on camera doing it. See, that's the thing. Well, this whole John gets a bad rap.
That's what I'm saying. He's a victim of circumstance, bro.
Only because, again, like you said, monsters ain't born, they're created. Exactly. Dude, this guy's been rewarded for murdering people for like 20 years.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden,
he's on the other side of it,
makes them look bad.
Yep.
It's because, man, it's like when something happens with a company and they got to play quality control.
Yep. Yeah, somebody's got to take the fall.
They put out those fake tweets and all that stuff to save their ass. That's all they're doing, is saving their ass. They really don't have a problem with what John did, honestly. It's because they got to do what they got to do to keep that image of the American
face.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Especially when you give the person the shield, and like, he is not just representative of like the military. This is Captain America. It's a big thing. So to do that in such a public way, and to kind of lose control, because I had an interesting conversation recently about that scene, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, he is a killer. But when I said that, it was different from just someone saying like, oh, these are people who have killed other people. I was like, no, there was something off, and there was something that lost control. The person that he was murdering in public obviously wasn't an innocent person, but they also weren't. That wasn't the person that was responsible.
Yeah.
And that person was not putting up a fight. That person was not.
He was defeated. You know, he yielded.
Yeah, he had his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
I just want to
say,
no
weapon on him. He wasn't fighting back. Exactly. And it's one thing to like go for the initial thing, but to repeatedly continue railing on this person.
And one thing too, you know, once again, last episode when we talked about these kind of things, I said he's not Steve, because that was the same situation he was in with Tony.
Yeah.
And he stopped. But this is John Walker. This is what he's used to doing. And I think that's another thing. He's used to doing things one way. He only knows one way.
Right, yeah, right.
You know, so.
Now, I kind of wanted to go back to something that you had said earlier, D, about the whole monsters not being born, they're created. That's something that John said when they were discharging him, is that you guys created me.
Exactly.
Y'all made me.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. He's like, I am what y'all made me.
Yeah, and it's like now y'all are taking the Captain America name away from me, but it's just like, it's y'all's fault that I'm the way that I am. Now, and also during that moment, when John is with his girl and he's sitting in the lobby, there is a woman that comes up to him, and she agrees with what he did and whatnot, and she hands him a business card and says, "I'll be in touch." Now, Trav, I know that
woman.
Yeah.
What do you mean some woman? I said, what do you mean some woman?
What are you talking
about?
What was her name? Val? I know she told me to call him Val for short.
I'm just saying, let's not disrespect Julia Louis Dreyfus like this.
I don't know who she is, Trav. I mean,
from Seinfeld, bro.
I thought she looked familiar. Okay.
I never watched.
I thought you were referencing the character that she's playing.
Yeah, that's why.
But I just mean in general, though, bro. It's still a big actor coming in to play a part in the MCU again, and you just
okay. Hey, well, thank
past her like she ain't shit.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us know, because I didn't know who she was. Like I never watched Seinfeld, so I don't know who she is, but. I do apologize, because she is a big actress and she does have some names on her belt. But Trav, I wanted to ask you this. Do you think that she's the power broker?
I don't know, because they said that they said that she's in Black Widow, and that's when she really makes her first appearance. So you're already supposed to know who she is.
Oh wow!
When you see this scene, you're already supposed to know who she is when you see this scene. But we don't know anything about it.
Well, one thing.
You know, we'll find out.
I just want to say real quick that I did look up the power broker. The traditional power broker is two different people, and they're both guys.
Two different people. Yep.
Correct.
Yes, I think I got the name.
So I don't know. I mean, we do see gender swap situations. So. I mean, it's possible,
and
it kind of hurts us a lot because she was supposed to make her first appearance in Black Widow, so that kind of sucks.
This is not Power Broker.
Yeah.
Her name is Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, and she's that is the actual name of her comic book character.
Okay.
Yeah, I figured that much. What is her?
Yeah, what is she in?
What is she? Not Power Broker.
Okay.
She works with Nick.
Yeah. She's. I don't know.
She works with who?
Hydra.
Nick Fury.
Shield.
So she works opposite.
She reminded me of that.
I was like, what is this name? This is a very long name. It must mean something. Someone did not just make this up, so I was like, let me look at a little bit.
Well, thanks y'all for the clarity, and I wasn't. I figured with a name that long, she had to be somebody from the comics. They wouldn't just make a name that long. It's impossible. I think it's impossible.
I want to move along and get to when Sam went and he talked with Isaiah Bradley, and how when he showed up at the house, he was just like, "Don't show me that shield." He said, "Keep it covered," and he was just like, "Hey, don't be a bitter old man." And I understand the reason why Isaiah is the way that he is. And we find out more about his backstory and, why he ended up going to jail, and how his wife was pretty much told that he was dead. Becca, I want to ask you, how did you, how did you feel about this moment with Sam talking to Isaiah, and how Isaiah, he was being real with him and let him know that, you know, you being a black man, you shouldn't take up that mantle as Captain America, because nobody will ever be able to see you as Captain America. How did you feel about that scene?
Gosh, I'm so glad that they gave Isaiah that platform to speak to so many truths. Like, obviously, you know, it's a fictional world and he's describing these things that happen to him. But I think that watching that scene, it really resonated with a lot of people. And I think that it spoke to a lot of truths that are still relevant. Like, I think so much to the moment where Isaiah tells Sam, he's like, you think that times have changed? You think that, you know, the world has changed? We're still dealing with these things. And honestly, the news that we've received over the last week, all of that resonated. All of those moments resonated hard. And it's a painful truth, and I'm glad that they didn't shy away from speaking truth. I realized that that was actually the title of this episode, was truth.
Yep.
I'm so glad that they gave him that time to really dig into what his experience is, to talk about what, you know, what America has done over its entire history, you know, to Black Americans, to so many, and then shoved it under, you know, this appearance of Stars and Stripes. And I think that it was important to have Isaiah point this out to Sam, because I think that's something that's relevant to a lot of the fans too, is the idealizing of Steve and patriotism and not looking at the ugly truth. But I think that is really important for Sam to absorb that, to process that on his own, to have his own moments of realization, and not have all of his decisions motivated by his opinion of Steve as a single person. Because Steve isn't responsible for everything that, you know, Isaiah went through. He's not responsible for everything that the country has put people through. He's, you know, one man who is trying to do his best. And Sam has to do his own best now, and not live with just the weight of the past of the Shield, live with the weight of, you know, the legacy of Steve even, but to be his own man right now.
I 100% agree with you. Trav, what were your thoughts on the scene?
Well, again, it all just goes back to opinions on how you think you can make changes, right? Because we got Isaiah, who, you know, again, you made the joke bitter old man, but I mean, it's kind of the reality of the situation. He's bitter about what he's been through, and he takes that out on his position, on his stance on what you should and shouldn't do. And then you got Falcon when he talks to Sarah, and Sarah's like, you won't let that man tell you how you should go about your business.
Exactly.
So again, it's one of those things where it's not really a wrong or right way to go about it. It's just seeing that this is what the reality is, and this is what I'm going to try and do to, you know, make those particular changes.
D?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that coming fresh off of our review of them, it was it kind of took me back just a little bit.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, I thought Isaiah was about to snap. But no, it was just interesting that he was trying to basically pin it all on Steve. He made multiple references to Steve, and Steve just kind of lucked out and got the abilities that he did get, you know. And it's just like, it's interesting because neither one of them, well, you know, Isaiah was experimented on and Steve volunteered for, you know, for example, and he refuses to think that the world's going to change. And Sam isn't really, you know, bitter or anything. And Sam's always kind of trying to stay optimistic.
Yeah, and he's always gonna fight for what's right,
exactly,
regardless of race or religion. I mean, that's just the kind of person Sam is, dude. He knows that what she's doing is wrong, and he takes everything else out of the equation, just like Steve does. And that's why Steve wanted him to have the shield in, the first place. But then you got a scene with Bucky where Bucky's like, it's two white guys. We didn't understand what we was really asking of you
exactly.
as a black man to take on this shield. So then you got that to
so
add to the dynamic.
Now, do you think that if Sam was white, do you think that it would have been as hard for him to become the next Captain America if he was, Trav?
But I don't know, because if Sam was white, would Steve even give him the shield? I mean, now we're just playing what ifs.
Well,
yeah, I mean, and
Marvel's what if
coming out.
The shield off to Bucky instead.
That I mean, he could have gave it to Bucky. But you say he could have gave it to Bucky instead, Becca?
Yeah, I mean, like in the comics, isn't
he does.
Bucky Captain America for a bit, but the thing is that it means something completely different for had in that moment Steve chosen Bucky instead, it would have meant something different, and I don't think it would have been as hard, and I don't think it would have been as relevant.
I just think
had he passed it on to Bucky instead of Sam. And quite frankly, Sam is the best. Like, he's such a great man.
He's the best man for the job.
He's so good.
I agree with you.
I just think I want to piggyback real quick. I just think that Bucky is trying to find himself right now. Him and Sam go into that conversation. As far as he's concerned, his hands are still soiled with blood. And Sam, Sam is the guy to go to. He's trying to help people. His hands are clean.
Yeah. And that's that's something that. Oh, go ahead, Trav.
Yeah, I want to hear what Trav.
I was gonna say, I think Bucky found what he was. I think Bucky found what he was looking for when
we don't say Sam's
he
sister.
met old girl.
Sarah.
Hey, look, this man spent time in Wakanda with all these beautiful Wakanda women. He came back home. He met Sam's sister. Hey, he's already been struck with the fever.
Don't say fever. Don't use that, because now you're using fetishizing terms. Let's not.
Trav, what's wrong with you, man?
Okay,
don't use the term fever.
Trav, we just did a review for them, man.
Bro,
come on,
it's not that deep.
No. Listen.
Anyway, to change the subject.
Real quick, I do wanna say I had a conversation with Tom earlier today. Tom White, friend of the podcast, whatever. That legitimately Bucky has found his best life, with the Wakandans and the Wilsons. He's just this is suddenly he's experiencing what life could be at peace, fun, happiness, community, healing. All of that has been good. And this might be a controversial statement, but I think that Sam is a better friend for Bucky than Steve was. I think that Steve will go out on a limb, but Sam has been so good for Bucky to finally get to that point where he can have these real conversations, to open up and smile and enjoy time with family and other people in the community. It's been a healing experience for him.
So what I wanted to touch on was going all the way back to Captain America Civil War, the type of person that Sam has been whenever it's come to having conversations with people. He's always been a positive influence to so many people in his life. Like I said, going back to Captain America Winter Soldier, he was helping people cope after, getting out of whatever roles that they had in the military. And I always feel like that he was always a moral compass, kind of like Steve, when it came to just motivating his teammates and just always being positive. It's I feel like in all of the Marvel movies that we've seen Sam in, he's just always been positive, no matter what the situation is, and he's always been helpful. And just going back to the reason why Steve was selected to be Captain America was because he was a good person. He had a good heart. He always wanted to do the right thing. And that's what we see with Sam, even going all the way back to the first episode where the bank teller, he asked him, he's just like, so how are you guys getting paid? He's just like, we were just doing the superhero stuff out of the kindness of our heart. We weren't looking to get paid for it. So
real quick,
I just feel like
go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
I just feel like, Sam, he's always been the right choice. And we see that in the episode when, he's starting to train to become the next Captain America. And I just feel like that whole 80s montage that we got with the music playing, Sam doing all the flips and everything, like I was smiling the entire time I was watching this, because it's like, he was failing at first when he was throwing the shield. It kept, like, it was a couple of times I thought he was going to knock himself out. Like I feel like they should have added that in there, where it's like he threw the shield and like it hit him in the head or something. Like it would have been funny, but I'm glad they didn't. I mean, like just the whole montage of him finally becoming who he needed to be the new Captain America. I thought that scene, it was powerful. And I just wanted to touch on that's IGN. They had put up their review for the episode and they gave it a 7 out of 10. And one of the statements that they said was a lack of development in the Falcon and Winter Soldier's plot at this late stage feels like poor pacing. And when I saw this, I was just like, no, I thought that the development in this episode was on point for everybody. Like, how do you feel about with IGN, what they said about like that it was poor pacing, there wasn't any development in this episode? How do you feel about that?
Tell them to give me a break next time you talk to one of the representatives. How about that? And I mean, it's just, come on, man. I mean, that's just people taking digs. They got to try and find something. Real quick too, before you take everybody else's opinion on it, I want to say that as far as Bucky and Steve go, and comparison to Sam, it almost seems like Sam is a friend. Steve is almost like big brother. And that's the way I compare it. I don't look at Steve and Bucky as friends, first off. And you can't do everything with your siblings. Sometimes you need an outside opinion, and I think that's what Sam is to Bucky. Like Steve is just gonna stick up for his man. It's his brother, basically. He'll crack skulls, but Sam will give you a more realistic, down to earth. And Steve too is actually, although he's Captain America technically, he's going through his own traumas. He was frozen too. So
I mean, he kind of had his own, like, honestly, Steve kind of had a death wish through quite a bit of his movies. So he wasn't doing things that necessarily would help Bucky heal and find a new life.
Exactly.
It was more so like, let me save your neck in this moment.
That's what I mean.
And then also like put other people at risk. He put Sharon at risk. He put, a lot of other people, because I mean, you go back to Civil War, and a lot of it was just, I need to save Bucky. Who's going to help me do that? But they followed him not because necessarily they were 100% like, we need to defend Steve's stance on the Accords right now, but rather like, oh, I trust Steve's choice, and he's right now defending Bucky. But as far as like Sam and Bucky's relationship, you really see Bucky start to flourish. You really see him start to like open up. That's a very stark difference from where he's at now, talking about how he's feeling and who he needs to be and how he needs to start over, as opposed to that first episode where he's just like locked behind his own walls and he's like, I'm not answering my phone. Sam's trying to reach out to me. I don't talk to anybody and I have these nightmares. You know what I mean? Like, Sam is making a huge difference in Bucky's life that Steve could never.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
two different, totally different situations. So,
now, Trav, before we wrap this up, of course we can't leave out that Zemo finally got caught. Trav, like, how did you feel about this scene? Like, did you think that we were gonna see Zemo again, or did you think that we were possibly gonna see him in a future movie? Like, how did you feel about him being caught and not killed by Bucky.
Well, I didn't think it was gonna get killed by anybody. I thought that was a little lackluster. Personally,
I agree. I was expecting a little bit more.
It was dramatic for no reason.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's lackluster. I think that he's just not the focus right now. Zemo's a major.
Point of the whole battle for him.
I mean, the thing is, Zemo basically goes to the memorial. He knows they're coming for him. He doesn't have it. Yeah.
Then why do you run?
Yeah,
why not just
maybe
stay
he wanted. But the thing is,
no sense.
all right, if you're gonna get caught and they came immediately, he wanted to go pay his respects to his family. They were gonna come immediately. As soon as everything wrapped up, they went and found him, bro.
Yeah, but I just feel like Zemo, he could have just escaped, and we could have seen him in a future movie because he could still possibly come back.
Yeah, that's my thing. Zemo's a major villain. He's a major Captain America villain. He'll be back, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree with Trav on this one. Where
how dare you?
Me and Trav, a lot of times we don't agree on a lot of things.
All I gotta say is, what you gonna do? He sit right here beside me. So what you go?
I do want to comment on that IGN review though.
Go.
Yeah, go ahead, Trav.
That's my thing. Who gives a shit what IGN said?
That's what I said.
That's true.
Isn't that the point of them giving a review? Like I seen all the people in the comments, and it's like,
what does it get them taking a jab at Marvel? Like,
yeah, I think where they probably felt like things
but if
were.
you felt that way,
go ahead.
I think probably what led them to feel that way is that they did take more time in this episode to just explore the domestic side. So that did give us a chance to like breathe, catch our breath after the previous episode.
It's the calm before the
process, talk about our emotions, talk about like what we both want for the future. Sam and Bucky, what do we want for our own lives? Who do we want to be? Those moments were very tender and domestic and slow, but I appreciate them. And I think for this particular show, it works as opposed to just having the episode before the finale be really high intensity and dramatic. We had a dramatic moment at the beginning of the episode.
Oh yeah.
And then we kind of settled into this more domestic, tender, emotional side of their relationship before going into that final fight that we know we're gonna see.
Yeah. The calm before the storm, like Trav said earlier.
Yeah. Two things though. What they said wasn't wrong. This focused on character development, but no real plot development. That's what they said. Their problem with it was that it had no real plot development. They weren't wrong in thinking that. It's just that I'm a fan.
Bro.
It doesn't bother me. It don't bother me. But here's the other thing too. Hold on. Let me say this real quick. For WandaVision, you got a heavy ass episode right before the final and people bitched. Now we get a calm episode before the final and they're bitching. So you can't win. You can't win. They gave us both.
And what's crazy about the IGN review is that for every episode, all of the reviews have been high. Like they've given it 8s and 9s, but for this one, it's like this was the first time that it's like they just kind of shitted on it. And like when I saw that, I was just like, nah.
I didn't even feel like they shitted on it, dude. They still gave it a solid 7. It wasn't.
But I'm just like their opinion on it. Like I just wasn't a fan of their opinion because I mean, like I felt like that it gave me everything that I wanted from the development that we got with Bucky. I feel like it's like every character in this episode kind of got what they wanted. Because I mean, even Sarah, for example, it's like she admitted that Sam was right about the boat. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like moving forward, like this is what everybody needs, so that way we can get to the final battle. Now the Flag Smashers are in New York City, and
Taurus got what he needed.
Huh?
I said Taurus got what he needed. He needed those Falcon wings.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's just I'm ready to see this series finale. This is what we've been waiting for. It's like Sam, he's finally going to be in the new suit. I can't wait to see how that looks. And and then we can't forget, we got that mid-credits scene where John Walker, he was making his own shield. So we're going to get Sam versus John Walker. I know we're going to see it, and I think that fight is going to be epic. it's crazy. This is the last episode. We're finally getting here.
Yeah, we're here, guys. We made it. Yep.
This is the end game.
With Walker's like little handmade like paper mache shield, I don't know how well it's gonna hold up.
That's what I was wondering too.
Good thing he took that.
I'm like, I don't know if you're a prop maker. I don't know how sturdy your thing is gonna be against like some
prop
vibranium.
maker.
She said.
No. Yep. So.
But AD, your final rating for the episode 1 out of 10 and your final thoughts.
Give me a 7.5 out of 10. I really liked it, and it's not often that you can see. I don't think you see a show open up with such a good action scene and not, fall off so much as the rest of the episode goes on. So I'm gonna give them that, and IGN, shove it.
Okay. But now I'm going. All right, Trav.
Go ahead. What's Trav?
Go ahead, because I saw your face.
You only went half a point more than IGN. So again, I don't understand why IGN's getting so much hate.
No. Well, I'm glad you brought it up, Trav, because I think it's just them picking. It's somebody having a job to do to criticize something is what I think it is. I mean, I don't think they have valid points. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
This is my personal rating. I don't work for anybody. First off, this is my personal opinion. Yeah. So, excuse me.
Yeah, you work for Mr. Bates.
What you gonna do? But anyway,
oh man, Trav, what's your final rating for the episode and your thoughts?
I love the episode. I gave it an 8. Again, if I was gonna pick it apart, it's just the Zemo thing was just a little lackluster for me. Again, only because when they promoted this show, Zemo was supposed to be the big villain, right? That was they bamboozled us. They bamboozled us, as you said.
They bamboozled.
He was the selling point for the show. Hey,
it worked.
Hey, and I'm not mad that he's not the big bad villain. It's not that I got an issue with it. Yeah. It's just that if he was gonna be taken out, quote unquote, I thought it should have been a little bit.
I don't think you should hold it that high of a regard. Yeah, Zemo was all over the show, and it's only 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. But you have to look at everybody else. You got John Walker, you got Zemo, you got George St. Pierre. What was his name? Baron something. What was his name? Whatever his name is.
Baron Zemo. I know who you're talking about.
No, not Baron Zemo. George St. Pierre's character. I think his character's name is Baron something.
Baron,
but you have him.
Something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then you have the Flag Smashers. You have to break it up, dude. They had 6 episodes.
You have a lot of different villains, and Zemo's definitely very present.
Yeah.
But he
played both sides.
He did play both sides weirdly.
Yeah, I mean, he used them to kill people.
He didn't come on the side of heroes, but obviously they did make some amends and they did learn to work together. Mm-hmm. And Zemo found a way to make himself lovable in this series, which is very unexpected and endearing. I will never get over the Zemo dance. It brought me so much joy.
I don't think anybody will. It was the highlight, just like Agatha all along.
Yeah, and the coat, it's a look, it's great. I think people ended up loving Zemo in ways that they did not expect. So I'm not mad at all with the way that they brought in Zemo as the villain who you have to love in this series.
So what's your final rating for the episode?
For me, it was a 9. I have to agree. I think that the moment of, pretending that he might shoot Zemo was dramatic for no reason. But I loved all of the tender domestic moments for Sam and Bucky. I think that gave me something that we really don't get to dive into a lot of times in the Marvel movies. You don't have that time to have a moment to just breathe and we're gonna build something and sleep on the couch and just relax and process our emotions and talk about things. It was so tender. It was so tender, and I love that. I don't think I've ever really gotten to see that in any Marvel movie, so I'm grateful that I finally did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna give this episode a 9 as well. I was pumped right from the beginning of the episode all the way to the end. Like how you said, with the tender moments that we got throughout the episode, just seeing Sam and Bucky's relationship from all the way back to Civil War to, where they are right now. They've both come a long way. When they first met, they hated each other, and it's like now it's like they need each other. They're best friends. And it's like I've always loved how Bucky has said that Steve, he chose the right guy to, take up the mantle. So it was a really good episode. I don't have any complaints besides the whole Zemo thing. Zemo, I just wish that we would have never even seen Zemo again, or maybe he could have showed up like at the end or something, that like he's building his army, because there still are superheroes out there. The Avengers are still out there. And so I stick with the 9. And with that being said, thank you everybody for watching this review. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you excited about the series finale next week? Becca, thank you for joining us on today's review. Let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
Okay, you guys can find me on Instagram under River Moriarty or Feathers and Song.
D, let them know where they can find you in the social media land.
That's going to be rebellious _D23 at Instagram.com. Trav?
I forgot he doesn't do the yell.
That's right. And it's I'm going to go like D real quick. And it's a one-stop shop for your boy. The only place you can find me is on the Instagrams at ZK Audio. And Banks, if somebody needs a hero, and Falcon and Bucky are nowhere to be found, sir. Where can
Trav sounds like he sounded off the radio. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Hey, I'm working. What was that show called? The Love
Guru?
Something. No, come on, bro. No, the radio show. It was Love Something when you called me.
Are you talking about like the Keith Sweat, the Sweat Hotel?
All I was thinking was like
play all the jams.
That's what I was thinking about.
I guess
You're funny.
You can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. You can look me up on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you for watching this review, and make sure that you stick around and watch our review for Invincible that we have coming up next. And we'll see you next time here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Keep that.
Hey, don't forget. Hey, hold on.
What's good?
Tell them about next week. You gotta inform them about next week.
Yeah, you gotta promote next week
for the final episode, bro.
Mm-hmm.
This guy.
Well, Trav, you take the floor and do it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're gonna wrap up the season finale next week by bringing on the one and only flag smasher himself, Lennox, aka Mr. Ernest Rivera, aka my stepfather. And you can find that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live at Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.
That's right, Daddy. Good job, Trav.
Killed it, bro.
We'll see you next time here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Keep that pinky up and stay positive, baby.
Hey, y'all stay safe out there.
Hey, D, what you gonna
podcast
do?
in the description.
What you gonna do? All right.
Thank you guys so much again for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Blast as usual. Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.